We are back to the Spirits book. Last week, we started this item, Pacts, on question. We did question 549, but because this item has only 2 questions, I'm going to ask Philip to read both questions, and then we comment. Okay? Philip, you are muted.
549. Is there any kind of truth to pacts formed with malevolent spirits? No, there is no such thing as a pact. It is merely sympathy between a vile nature and a despicable spirits. For example, imagine you want to irritate your neighbor, but you do not know how. You call out for the assistance of lower order spirits. These spirits, like yourself, want nothing more than to do wrong, and in return for the help they give you, they expect you to help them. This does not mean that your neighbor will not be able to fight such a conspiracy with an opposing scheme and the force of his or her own will. If you desire to do evil, you call wicked spirits to your assistance by that desire alone, and you are in turn obliged to serve them as they have served you, because they need your help in the evil they seek to do. What you call a pact consists simply in this mutual assistance in doing wrong. Human beings sometimes find themselves dependent on wicked spirits, and this stems from submitting to the bad thoughts suggested by them, and not from any sort of agreed upon stipulations. The idea of a pact, in the sense commonly attributed to that word, is a figurative representation of the like-mindedness that exists between bad human beings and malicious spirits. 550. What is the true meaning behind the legends of people selling their soul to Satan in exchange for favors from him? All fables contain a lesson and a moral. Your mistake is in taking them literally. This is simply an allegory, showing that those who call out to wicked spirits to obtain fortune or any other favor defy providence. They abandon their missions and trials on earth and reap the consequences of this rebellion in a future life. We are not saying that their souls are condemned to misery forever, but as you become more attached to matter rather than detaching from it, their enjoyment of human pleasures leads to their suffering in the spirit world. This continues until they have redeemed themselves through new trials, which may be even more difficult and painful than those they originally abandoned. Through their indulgence in material pleasures, they remain controlled by impure spirits and establish an unspoken pact that leads them to their demise. This pact can easily be broken at any time with the assistance of higher spirits, if they have the resolve to do so.
Thanks. So when we talk about these pacts, this idea of selling the soul to Satan, to the devil, this beliefs that we have, and actually many people go to these African related religions in Brazil are very common. In you go there to ask for a work to be done, to call the spirits to help you find a husband, get revenge on your neighbor, get rich. It's popular, right? So how can we understand those things? Because if they didn't work, they would not exist. If they exist, it's because there is something there, right? There is some sense in it. So let's try to rationalize it. We understand that we are surrounded by spirits. We associate with spirits, and they can inspire us, help us for our benefit, to harm us, to cause us to take the wrong path, and also to use us as instruments of their desire to harm others that they cannot reach directly, right? So I mentioned this last week, right? You want to hurt your, the spirit wants to hurt your neighbor, but cannot access directly your neighbor. So it connects to you because you open yourself to connect to this connection, and through you can cause you to go there and pick a fight with your neighbor just for the sake of it, right? So this is how the influence of the spirits can work. Now, we have our free will. We make our choices. We are not going to be forced by any spirit to do evil. And they know, especially those less evolved spirits, they know exactly our weaknesses, and they act on them. They are not going to try to force you to do something that you have no intention of doing. If you are not a killer, if you have respect for human life, and you are never going to kill anyone out of your own volition, they're not going to associate to you to kill someone. They will look for someone that has this killing instinct, right? Now, if you love gossips, right? That's your favorite thing to do during the day, is to gossip. You want to take part of everything that is happening around. They will connect to you if they want to disseminate a gossip that can hurt someone that they are in their intent to hurt. So that's the pact with the devil, so to say, that they are telling us here. And that's exactly what happens when you go to these places to ask for you pay for a work over the spirits to help you find whatever you want to find. There will be spirits there that out of and we'll see that in the next item, which is occult powers, talismans, and sorcerers. There'll be spirits that willing to fulfill your desires. Will they be able to do so or not? This is a completely different story, right? Because you want to harm your neighbor. Let's go back to that. But your neighbor it's an exceptional person that is always doing good to others, that is always thinking of helping others. You go there to pick a fight with your neighbor never picks a fight, so it dismisses your attempts. So, you can do all the works you want to harm your neighbor, but the neighbor has the protection of its own actions and the assistance of the protecting spirits that are there also to protect and help and assist us, as long as we're doing following the right path. So we cannot be innocent victims of the spirits trying to harm us if we do not open ourselves through our vibration, lowering our vibration, and things like that. Now, yes.
Can I interject with something here?
Sure.
It's somehow related.
Oh, yeah.
It has to do with law of attraction, that the concept that you attract things that you fear most. I'm just going to put myself in a position. Like, I don't like gossips. I mean, it's a very subjective thing, like gossips, but in a concept, like in a universal, like concept. General concept. But I do attract like people who love gossip. I just tell them blatantly, go away. I don't like this. I don't think it's and in another fields of life areas, like it happened to me, like something that like it's like intensely, I attract them. And it's just
we We emit a vibration,
you
right?
You like fights, and you're always involved like in a fight, a physical altercation, or this kind of thing. Because I know like people like that, like it's like to be involved in any kind of conflict, but they always there like in the middle of the thing because people put them there. And I know that like deep inside, it's not them, and they don't want to be there.
But
It's
you
just
know,
like,
yeah,
since you work the other way around, I don't think that vibration, they want the opposite to divorce themselves from that kind of thing. But the more that you want to be distant, it seems that there is some, I don't know.
and why would be that,
It's
right?
It's the empirical thing, it's the
Yeah.
observation, it's not like.
No, I know that I hear people say that, oh, I don't like fight, but there's always fight around me. I'm always attracted to fights. Deep down, there is something there, right? Again, maybe the person doesn't like the fight, but it carries with it something that attracts. Maybe something from the past. Maybe it's not from here. So let's say your example of gossip. You may abhor gossip. You don't want to be involved in gossip. But maybe because you are too involved in previous incarnations, you are put in those situations to test your ability to really move on from it, to not be attracted to it. I'm just giving a theory here.
I'm not like embarrassed to tell people stuff that I don't like it. It can be anyone. It can be like my parents, my boss, or whoever. Just go in and want to hear that.
Yeah, but
it's happening. It has been happening my entire life.
it, like Elmo likes to say, right? What for, right?
Yeah. With the two examples you gave us, the gossip, I think it's just playing the law of average. Most people like gossip. Most people
Gossip
like
is a very subjective thing.
Again, it's extremely subjective. So I think just the payment is the law of average. Most people talk about somebody else, unfortunately. So that is the law of
And actually,
average.
people who are gossiping, they say, "Oh, it's not a gossip; it's just a comment."
If they say it's not a gossip, it's because it's already a gossip, right? Otherwise, they wouldn't.
And then the second example, I agree with John, it's gotta be something there. You're not gonna convince me that I dislike fights, that I dislike controversies, but I'm always involved in it by accident. It just comes to me. It's no. I can buy that. There's something there.
Yeah, maybe it's not even something present, but maybe it's something
Conscious, unconscious,
Yeah.
best, but there's something there.
Yeah, there is always something. Nothing in
Even people that I don't know, that are not close to them, like neighbors, it's just like. And I say that not that I'm not thinking. I say I'm not embarrassed to. Right, is a very. And it's gossip, as I said, it's very subjective. Let's say like you and I, you and I and Elmo, we're like neighbors, and we live in a building where pets are not allowed. Oh, Elmo has a dog. It's a gossip. But like, let's say that you live in a building where pets are allowed. Oh, Elmo has a gossip. It's just a passing comment. So it's the same thing. It's just like
Yeah.
But mine is it's gossip, plain gossip that attract them like on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Specifically, the second one is the sensory that I think is the most important thing. If you desire to do evil, you call with spirits to your assistance by that desire alone. And this is the key, by that desire alone. You don't have to act. At the moment that you desired evil, you had already made associations. So, and that's the importance of pray and be vigilant. Extremely vigilant what thoughts, your sentiments, ad producem. So maybe I really don't like fight, but I'm keeping extinguishing fighters in my mind. I still have so much anger inside me to be resolved. The thought of fight comes to me, even though I don't want to be involved in it. Because only by the desire, it says over here, you already create that association.
But
And
sometimes
that's why Christ says that you commit a sin by thought. It's there. Christ said that. You commit a sin by thought. Because you already create those associations. You already miss that target. Sin, you miss that target. Right? So I cannot buy the idea that someone who is not creating some association to fights would be often be associated with fights. That no.
But how about, as John said, it can be a trial, like you're like resistance to that kind of thing, like you be exposed, like, oh, let's see if like he was a gossiper like in past lives, and let's see if he plays along, and let's try him like on a weekly basis for 39 years, 40 years, or see
our learning progress, overcoming our imperfections, part of it is dealing with our imperfections, right? Because if I don't like to fight, I need to overcome this desire to fight. I isolate myself in the middle of nowhere and nobody around me. Well, I'm not going to fight, of course, but have I overcome my impulses to fight? I don't know. So you have to be exposed to the situations that you need to overcome. And sometimes, like I almost said, you want to overcome. Fight is something that you don't want to be involved, but it's something that you bring and it keeps coming back. And it's because you need to deal with it, right? You need to face it to overcome. And that's, Spiritism teaches us, if we are not prepared to deal with the situation, if we are not strong enough, we avoid the situation until we are better prepared. This simple example, right? If you are trying to quit smoking, you are not going to go to a place where everybody is smoking, because it's only you're not prepared. Now, once you quit smoking and you know for sure that you quit, you have 100% conviction that you are not going to get back there, you can go to a place where everybody is smoking, because then you know for sure that you overcame it, right?
And you'll be faced to the temptation, have the strength to not fall into it.
Yeah, and then it's over. Okay. Okay.
I'm speaking too loud again because I want to make sure they hear me over there.
Yeah. Yes. 551.
Can a malicious person cause harm to a neighbor with the assistance of a bad spirit? No, God would not permit it.
So this is very direct on what I said before, right? God will not permit. If the neighbor does not deserve to be harmed, the natural laws and the laws of association, vibrational, would not allow it. The God would not permit, would be the natural laws of God, right? Again, if we want to cause harm to a neighbor and the neighbor is open to, let's say, going back to the fight, right? I want to fight. The neighbor loves to fight also. We're going to find ourselves in a situation where we're going to start a fight, right? Is the bad spirit's fault? It can also be the bad spirit's fault, yes, because it's there trying to force us. But it's our own free will that we end up having the fight. When one doesn't want to fight, two do not fight, right? You remember the famous saying, right? Okay. Okay, I know you're hot, so let me turn on the air a little bit. It's getting hot here. Okay, go ahead, Philip.
552. What should we think of the belief that certain people can cast spells over others? Some people possess a very strong magnetic power, which they may use for evil purposes if their spirit is bad. In that case, other bad spirits may encourage them. However, do not take stock in any magical power, which exists only in the imagination of superstitious people who are uneducated in regard to the true laws of nature. The facts presented to prove its existence are really due to natural causes that have been incorrectly observed and understood.
Yeah, well, so yeah, it's a little bit. So the famous spells, right? You put a spell on someone. Is it possible? Well, what they say here is some people have this magnetic power, this power that goes beyond our understanding, that can cause, you know how sometimes you go you are in front of a person and you feel that person is sucking all your energy. After you talk to a person, you feel weak, you feel exhausted, something like that, right? This person has the ability to drain your energies, right? And there are defenses against that. So what they're saying here is this type of people, they can cause harm to others that are open to be harmed. It's always a two-way street, right? By these magnetic powers that they have. But it's not a spirit that is there. The spirit can associate with them to cause the damage, to influence them, to cause damage. But if the person, again, if I go in front of a person that strongly absorbs the energy of those around, but I have all my defenses up, I am prepared to deal with this kind of attacks, I'm not going to be affected. Same way of you go to a place, everybody's smoking, I don't smoke. It can bother me, the smoke, but I'm not going to smoke. If I don't drink, I go to a place, everybody's drinking, doesn't matter, I don't drink. Because it's not something that is part of me. Now, when you have this tendency and you're open to it, and you go into contact with someone that wants to cause you harm intentionally, and you are open to it, then this person can cause you harm through energy, bad energy. You go to places. I always hear people talking about going to places and feeling the energy, the bad energy, and not being able to stay in those places. We lived in London for two years, almost 3 years, right? Before I moved here. And during these 3 years, we could never go to any pubs, because Jussara couldn't stand going to any pub, because she would feel the energy, and she would feel bad, headaches, and pain, body pains, things. So we wouldn't go to any pubs. We spent 3 years there, running away from the national pastime of the so some people are affected by different things. If you know you are affected, you should avoid. If you know you are affected by some people, and that applies to our families. Yes, we cannot deal with someone special in our family. We should, but we're still not able. They cause us more harm than they cause us, that we can deal with it. We should avoid them. Pray for them at a distance, but avoid them. If we can't deal with them, leave it for the future, because it happens. We are not perfect. We are imperfect spirits, and we have our weaknesses, and our weaknesses can be exposed by this type of people that have the ability to poke us exactly where it hurts, right? And with that can cause us harm. Touch the right or wrong buttons, right?
To understand this answer, we have to go back to the topic of our discussion. It's called power, talisman, and sorcerers. And that's what it's going to say. If it happens in true natural mechanisms, nothing supernatural, nothing completely abnormal. So we wish some harm to God. Again, at the time that I wish, that desire, I had already made association. Oh, but themselves, really is always vigilant. Very vigilant. Say as much as one is above that level. God is not vigilant. God is what that should say. So I believe in this kind of substance. And maybe this doll, all the dolls that all this thing was traced on, right? And I put John's name in it. I can talk the doll as much as I want tapping in it. And that's how we practice doll over there. It happens, it's too natural stories. What is it natural? The process is what we're talking about here. Not being vigilant, allowing those who wish harm to God. Lower its level and make them vulnerable to whatever harm is we can cause them. In a very natural way.
And bringing also to this conversation, I think there will be a question that we'll talk about, but people that use those things to protect themselves, right? Yes, Philip.
Would you ask Elmo to speak a little louder when he talks, because for some reason his volume has gone down?
Yeah, okay, yes. He said that, but could you hear what he said or not? Not at all.
I could hear parts of it, but I couldn't understand all the words.
Okay, yeah. Basically, what he said is that you can harm those that are open to be harmed, but if you keep your vibration high, you are protected. You can do all the voodoo you want, that you are not going to harm, because the person is protected by themselves. So that's basically what he said. And I was going to talk here about, you know, the talismans that people use, right, to protect themselves. Do they really protect the person? Well, if the person uses it as a remembrance to keep their thoughts elevated, then it helps. Does the person needs it? No. But if it's an instrument that helps, that's, you know, then use it. Like when we talk about lighting a candle to pray. If you cannot pray without lighting a candle, then there is something wrong with you. But if lighting a candle, it gives you more of a good feeling about the prayer, helps you elevate even more your vibration, then fine, light a candle. If it helps, it helps, right? We don't need it, but anything that can help us elevate our vibrational level, we can use it. Anything that can center us, what Paco is saying also. Yes, exactly. The serenity prayer. I have to repeat, Paco, because people won't hear you here.
Because, you know, self-help group, they use the chant if you want to, or make use of the serenity prayer. And sometimes when they are having the danger or whatever, daily source without prayer. Or the sentence of Jesus, what I said, to yourself, that was right. It helps, let me put it this way.
Yeah, no.
Prayer helps.
And again, if we go back to prayers, right? The same thing. If you repeat the words that you learn in church and you are praying and thinking about the dinner you're going to have or the movie you just watched, it's useless. It's not a prayer that is helping in any way. Now, if you are praying with the words that you learn, you know, the God's prayer, but you are focusing on it, focusing on on the words, and helping the words help you elevate your vibration, then the prayer is working. So, you know, we of course we have the prayers, all the prayers we know, and we have even the book, The Spiritist Prayers, right? Because it helps and guides us. It's a tool for us to be better at using the prayers. But again, if you are reading the book of the prayers and while you are reading you get distracted, it loses a lot of the effect, right? Okay.
553.
Yeah.
What is the effect of the potions and practices that some people claim have helped them to control spirits? If they really put faith in them, these potions and practices make them ridiculous. If they do not, they are frauds who deserve to be punished. This is all deceit and hocus pocus. There is no special word, Kabbalistic sign, or talisman that has any power over spirits because they are attracted by thought and not by anything material. Haven't certain spirits sometimes dictate Kabbalistic formulas? Yes, there are spirits who give you strange signs and words and prescribe certain acts to perform plots. But you can rest assured that these spirits are marking you and your gullibility.
Yeah, the key phrase here, spirits are attracted by thought and not by anything material. Based on that, everything else that we talk about here, you go back on that. So there is no talisman, there is no potion, there is nothing that is going to make a difference if, you know, the certain the right conditions are not there. So Kabbalistic formulas, talismans, as the spirits say, they are all deceit and hocus pocus. Now, if they are all deceit and hocus pocus, why so many people use them, right? We have to ask that question. Because they work. They work, but why they work? Not because of them, but because of the thoughts associated with them. Because what you are thinking, you know, I want my neighbor to get injured, to get hurt because I don't like him. And I put my thought, and then I do the work there, or the voodoo doll, right? If my neighbor is not, it's not connected in any way with my low vibrational desires, it's not going to happen. But most of us are vibrating at lower levels. We open ourselves to this type of connections.
For the dimension that we are on, it's not the high vibration level.
Yeah, the dimension we are on is not the high vibration level. It says that's why it works so many times. That's why we see these things working, and that's why it's out there. Because if it never worked, nobody would be doing it, right? If they are doing it, it's because it works, but it doesn't work all the time, and we cannot be afraid of those things if we know, because we know better. We know how to prevent and defend ourselves. So if someone tells me, I'm going to put a curse on you, and you know, we have spirits every Monday talking about putting curse on us or things like that, right? But we know we are protected, and it's our responsibility to protect ourselves. And if we protect ourselves, we shouldn't fear any of these things, because they are not going to cause any harm to us. Okay.
How to the words of the protection, saying that that happened with or without those talismans, with or without those portions. The thing is, I don't believe that I can cause harm to people if I do A, B, C, and D. So if I don't do it, then things are not going to happen, which is not factual. So it does not work. The talisman does not work. My belief that I require the talisman to be able to reach my objective is what gives the power to those things that are completely powerless. It's my belief that it has some effect, but in fact it does not. Because I don't need the talisman to send negative energies to anyone. And that little material object does not send any negative energies to anyone, or positive as well. You can look at it both ways as well.
Yeah.
So the material things are neutral. It's just like a way to induce your mind, or like your thoughts, your emotions, to, it's like, as I said, it's a reminder, like it's a kind of condition your mind for. It's like,
It's a crutch.
It's instrumental. It's merely like an instrumental.
Yeah. And so you know, it goes back to, but people believe that those things work. So that's why they keep doing those things and repeating it. But they don't work by themselves. It's not a stone that is going to cause harm unless I throw it at someone. So.
And do the positive as well. No, it cause the negative. No, it's not. No, that flower, that you're gonna use that crystal to help such and such recover their health. No, the crystal not gonna do that. My desire to assist that person, if that person deserves it, it's for the benefit of that person. The good spirits may assist in that. My desire to help someone, and she may receive, or he receive that help. Not because of the crystals. As much as I believe in that all the crystals, it's not the crystals.
Yeah, and then
It's hard to say because a lot of people have tremendous amount of faith in those things.
Yeah, and we can bring even a more serious religious artifact, which is the rosary, right? What about the rosary? How many people use the rosary and pray with the rosary? Pray, you know, the Hail Mary and does the rosary works by itself? It's the same thing. It's our intention and our sincerity of the prayer that is going to make a difference, not the rosary itself. Of course, you impregnate the rosary with this energy, and people that can feel the energy will feel the energy in the rosary, the positive energies and things like that, right? Like we talk about, we study in mediumship, the ability of mediums to feel the objects, the past, where the object has been. Yeah, what's the name, Elmo? Psychometry, yes. Yeah, psychometry, right? So a rosary can be impregnated with good energies, with good vibrations, and you can feel, but you know, if I give the rosary to Elmo, because I believe the rosary will help him, and he doesn't believe in anything like that, the rosary is not going to make any effect. Now, if the rosary, if he already believes and has this mental vibration, then the rosary will even help him elevate, enhance his vibration, then he is going to say, oh, it was the rosary you gave me, made all the difference. It wasn't the rosary.
From the get-go, he already had it.
Yes. But again, we are still attached to material things. We live in a physical world attached to material things, and these are part of our life. So We cannot simply dismiss everything. It's important to understand how these things work, and that's what we're trying to do here. Yeah.
And be very careful not step on anybody's toes. And one thing very important is to not take hope from anyone. If that person has hope that by doing such and such thing, will recover health or whatever, do not take hope of them. They believe in that crystal, they think, well, if they're gonna help you, go ahead, use it.
Yeah.
Now, being in this study, you have to live, truthful with the book, what the spirits are telling us. And they're telling us here, no material things can carry any energy. Humans, we spirits, we carry energies, not inanimate objects.
554. Could those who believe in talismans attract spirits by their belief alone? Here, the talisman would be a sign that helps direct their thoughts, which then are the true cause of the actions that take place. This is true, but the nature of the spirit attracted would depend on the purity of intent and the elevation of the party attracting it. One who is simple enough to believe in a talisman rarely has anything more than material motives. In any event, such practices imply a narrowness and a weakness of mind that would naturally pave the way for inferior and mocking spirits.
Yeah, here what the spirits are telling us is be careful to not put too much importance on the talismans and on the objects, right? That the spirits, the thought is what's going to attract the spirits. The attraction of the talisman themselves, they are not going to make a difference. But again, depending on what thought you put or what you put to the talisman is what's going to make a difference, right? I know it's hot, but it's kind of hard, the noise. Okay, sorcerer. It's a good one.
How should we understand the word sorcerer? Sorcerers are individuals who are gifted when they are honest with exceptional abilities like magnetic power or second sight. These individuals can do things that you do not understand. Therefore, you think that they are gifted with supernatural powers. If we take a look at history, how many ignorant people have accused educated persons of being sorcerers? Spiritism and magnetism give us the key to phenomena that ignorance has explained by exaggerated fables. The enlightened knowledge of these two sciences, which are actually one, show the reality of things and their true cause, which is the best protection against superstition and misconception. It shows what is possible and what is impossible, what is written in natural law and what is simply an outrageous belief.
Okay. Every time we see a magician perform some magic tricks, we think, how can they do that, right? Well, understanding that the natural law cannot be broken, that the natural law is a perfect law. The only thing there is that they are doing something we cannot understand, right? Now, we know people that have special abilities, that people say they have supernatural powers. We know that it's not supernatural, it's just different abilities. Magnetic abilities, we know that mediums of they are able of healing, and that we're going to see it next question. There are people that are able through second sight, through mediumship of out-of-body experiences, to detach themselves from the physical body and be able to avoid feeling anything in the physical body. You know those fakirs that lay on the nails, right? Bed of nails, right? How do they do that? they have this ability of disconnecting themselves from the physical body in a state of trance that prevents them from feeling anything, right? I was watching yesterday's on one of these reality TVs, a guy walking, climbing a stair of knives, one knife after the other, and you look at him and you see how can he do that? Again, you have these abilities, either being a magician or being able to overcome the pain and use it in a way that you don't get hurt, right? And in the past, we used to call them witches and burn at stake, right? Now we are still surprised by the supernatural powers, but we know that there are no supernatural powers. Are just people that have abilities that we don't know how to use it. And again, you don't need to be a magician. The mathematicians that are able to multiply numbers by, you know, four digits by 4 digits and give you the exact answer. It's our brain. Our brain has a lot of things we don't know how to use them yet, right? So all these things are just things we cannot explain yet, but they are all explained by the natural law. So there are no sorcerers, and there are no supernatural beings, just people that know how to use their abilities in ways that we cannot explain. Okay. Okay.
556. Do some individuals really possess the gift of healing by touch? Magnetic power may act to the extent when it is supported by a purity of intent and the fervent desire to do good. In such a case, good spirits render their services. You must be cautious of exaggerated stories recounted by individuals who, over gullible or enthusiastic, can discover something spectacular in even the most ordinary and natural occurrences. Likewise, be cautious of individuals who exploit gullibility for their own benefit.
So here the spirits are telling us, be careful with the so-called healers, right? Some people have the ability, yes, to be healers, yes, but how much they can depends on a lot of things. And when we talk about these healers that we hear, and you know, especially that famous case in Brazil that in the end he was John of God, that he went, he's in jail. He's in jail because he was, by at the same time he was healing, he was abusing women. Yes. So
I didn't know that.
yeah, it's something that happened like 4 or 5 years ago that he was caught. 4 years ago, 5 years ago. 2019. So yeah. So, and again, but what is important here? He's a healer. He has the ability to heal. A lot of people went there and were cured, but because these people deserved to be healed, they were looking for it. It was their time, and he was the instrument that the spirits used to heal. A lot of people went there and nothing happened, and a lot of people went there and ended up traumatized. So what the spirits are telling us here, it's possible, but be careful. Don't believe in everything you see, right? Because there are those that want to take advantage of others, which was his case. Besides the abuse, you know, also the monetary gains that he had and everything else. So we study with Elmo in the mediumship, in the medium's book, these mediums of healing effects, right? That there are mediums that have the ability to heal. Yes, they are assisted by spirits and have the ability to heal. But again, the ability to heal depends also on the person receiving the healing, because if it's in your karma, you have to go through it. It's part of the process. You are going to go through it, and the medium won't be able to heal. That's why many people are healed and many people are not. Right? Two people go with the same disease, one gets healed, the other doesn't. Okay. All right, last item of this chapter. Blessings and curses.
557. Do blessings and curses attract good and bad things to those who are their object? God does not listen to an unfair curse, and whoever speaks it is guilty before God. As we are subjected to two contrasting influences, good and bad, there may be a short-lived action. However, this action can never take place unless God wills it to happen as an additional trial for the subject of said curse. In any event, curses are usually set on the wicked and blessings on the good. Neither a blessing nor a curse can escape Providence's justice, which only strikes the cursed if they are wicked and favors the blessed if they are merit protection.
So nothing happens if we don't deserve it. Both good and bad, right? So I can send a curse to someone if the person does not deserve and is protected. It's not going to work. I can send a blessing to a person if the person is open, it's going to help, yes. But if you send a blessing to someone that is intending to cause harm and do evil, it may cause an effect for the person to hesitate, to rethink. It will be an instrument of trying to help. But if the person is insisting on doing whatever they are doing evil, they are going to do it, and the blessings are not going to help. So this is all according to God's law, the natural law. And that's what the spirits are telling here. There is never an unfair curse, and never a blessing that that is going to help someone that does not want to be helped. Always the same, right? You can only help those that want to be helped. You can always pray for them. Prayer is never lost. It will be there, stored for whenever they are able to receive it. But if they are not open to receive it right now, it's not going to work right now. It will work one day. So that's what the spirits are telling here, talking about blessings and curses, that they will have an effect depending on how the person that is receiving the blessing or the curse is receptive to both cases. Okay.
Should I be like
Yeah, again, we talk about this. Paco's question is when they say God, if we shouldn't say God's plan. Yeah, you can. I like to say the natural laws, the God's laws, the perfect laws, because then the natural laws are perfect. God's laws are perfect. So God. It's not that God allows or does not allow, but the natural law allows or doesn't allow, because if you go against the natural law, you are creating problems for yourself. It's not God punishing you.
Exactly.
It's just the natural law, the cause and consequence. And if you are going the right path, the natural law will give you the reward. You're not getting the reward from God. You're getting the reward because you are following the right path, the natural law. Yeah, but again, at that time, if it was something very difficult for Kardec to bring. You know, he was bringing something so many new things that if he was bringing also that God doesn't punish or God, it would be an even bigger problem with the church and everything. So he had to leave that like it is, and then we are, you know, as we evolve, we interpret in a more reasonable way, in a sense. Okay?
With the word habit. Especially dealing with these topics, consider merit of the Holy Spirit, not all of this incarnation. So we could say that someone merit another incarnation. That by all means, they look only at the people or the point of this incarnation. Wow. Would say it's good for someone to die early or what's considered to be an early age. But for the eternal spirit, that may be a merit. Merit to leave this word of trying explanation for someone better, perhaps, in merit. But when we see only with the eyes of the physicality, we say, no, we're crazy. But if you look at us at the eternal spirit, the word merit become a lot more complex and way out of reach of our interpretation and comprehension because of our limited ability to see things with the expansion of the eternal spirit.
Okay. All right, so next week we start a new chapter, Spirits, Occupations and Missions, chapter 10 of book 2.